أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين بالقاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين ولعن الله أعداءهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم صلاة على محمد وعلى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
As was announced, my original topic, yes, was Hijrat. Although every day is a journey towards Allah, and our discussions during the evenings before Maghrib have been about Hijrat, but perhaps in a different form. The ayat I read for you was from Surah Baqarah that talks about the essence of migration. The ayat says, Inna ladina amanu, for those who believe, وَالَّذِينَ حَاجُرُوا وَجَاهِدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ يَرْجُونَ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. The ones who have iman, the ones who migrate and struggle on the path towards Allah, يَرْجُونَ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ, they can expect Allah's mercy to be sprayed or to be given to them. Wallahu ghafurur rahim. Allah is of course merciful and all forgiving. This concept of hijrat, you see, there are different types and different purposes for migration. One of course is a hijrat mali. You go for financial reasons. You get a job, let's say in China, you go and you spend 2-3 years there and do hijrat there. One is the migration that's called tablighi. You go for the propagation of the deen. Some Christian groups actually travel to, let's say, South America or to Europe to go and try to propagate their deen. And they actually set up shop, let's say, in a certain country for a couple of years, and they move accordingly. One is a hijrat mas'uli, it's called. The migration of a responsibility. A lot of you who migrated from your eastern countries to here, you did it with a certain responsibility in mind. And while I don't know the certain reasons why you migrated, I know at least one reason is to give your children, us, a better future. But the Quran does not simply say the ones who do hijrat, hajiru. Immediately after hajiru is jahidu fi sabilillah. So not only are you a muhajir on the path to Allah, you're also a mujahid on the path towards Allah as well. So not only are you migrating here, but you're actually struggling. Now what are you struggling? You're struggling with the idea that you have picked up from an Islamic community. Those of you who are from Hyderabad or from Karachi or from Pakistan or from India, normally in the areas that you're in, the Islamic communities are already established. The masajid are already there. There's already adhan and namaz happening. You can hear the adhan going on every corner of the street. So there is not that much struggle there to establish the deen. It's already established for you. But when you migrate over here, you're bringing your children to a non-Islamic environment. And when you do that, the struggles and the difficulty of establishing an Islamic community is now on your shoulders. You are a muhajir, you are a mujahid as well. Those who come here and lose their deen and lose their culture, allow their kids to completely drown in society such that you have no idea where they begin and the society ends, then those are people who, yes, they have done the hajiru part of the ayat, they haven't done the jahidu part of the ayat. They become muhajirs on the path towards Allah, but they haven't struggled on the path towards Allah. It is a struggle. Ask the elders who have been here for 30, 40 years. Their stories, I never get tired of hearing them. From the basements of homes, to churches, to random rooms in some buildings, to their own building, to their own land, alhamdulillah. There's constant jihad going on. There's constant struggle going on. Because every generation has a responsibility towards a generation that follows them. And what that responsibility is, to take the deen of Islam and to make sure that it is in some format to give that deen to the next generation, they can take it and they can move on with it. Our parents have done their job in terms of their jihad in this part of the world. They've given us these four walls. They've given everything we can. And they did it for tabligh purposes inside of us. Remember, 2 points here. Number one, they did it to preserve our deen inside of us. They had no time to go out and talk to the Christians and the Jews and the non-Muslims. They were too busy making sure that my kid doesn't get swallowed up by this Western society. So they made sure that if nothing else, we have Dua Kumel, we have Azadari, we have Wiladat. This idea of going to churches and going to hospitals, all of that, we had no time for. Now that that's been established, and now that we become parents, we take their efforts and we take the deen one step higher. No longer do I need to prove to you now about, let's say, the Walayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. I need to prove to you that Abu Talib was a Muslim. I need to prove to you that Bi Fatima was a Ma'suma. I no longer need to prove to you about all these things. What we need to do now is take the efforts of our parents who've done that Jahidu and Hajiru and now propagate the deen to others. That's where there is two different types of hijrat. One is a physical migration, one is a spiritual migration. One is an hijrat from one physical location to another physical location. One hijrat is from one maqam in Allah's glory to another maqam in Allah's glory. When you do a migration from a person who doesn't sin to a person who sins, that migration unfortunately is one of shaitan. When you go up one level on the path towards taqwa, there is this migration that is ruhani, where yes, you're physically where you are, but your soul is constantly migrating towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So hijrat is not just a physical migration, it is also a spiritual migration. There are two types of migration. One is from mawjood to matlub. Sallu ala Muhammad. Just 5 more minutes, and if it's okay with the intizam, 5 minutes of Masai, but this Shab al-Jumu'ah, of course, is the night where we remember Imam Hussein. And then inshallah 10 minutes of the Masjid Dua. From mawjood to matlub, from existence to a desired state of existence. Understand this for a moment. There are people who live their life, you and I, Muslims, who live their life under the mawjood category. They eat, they sleep, they drink, they pray salat. And they keep that level of monotony inside their deen throughout their life. This idea of elevation, this idea of trying something new, this idea of perhaps being somebody different, it's not like that. We become complacent when it comes to our deen. Right? The amount that I do is enough. Don't ask me for more. I can't do more. The fact that I can pray salat on time in this Western society, the fact that I haven't lost my family, it's good enough. You're asking me to elevate now? Forget it. I can't do it. They become complacent. They're in the mawjood category. The matlub category is a desired state. Matlub is the one who goes out towards his desired state. What's a desired state? We have been created to be the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He chose us to represent Him on this earth. Not to us, to other existences. And specifically within the realm of Shia Islam, we are made to propagate the deen. He's not just our Imam that we're waiting for. His mission will be global. It's not just this idea that the Prophet was our Prophet. He's Rahmatil lil Alameen. Amir al-Mu'mineen was not just our Wali. He's Wali al-Mu'mineen. He's everyone's Mawla. We have to be able to propagate that deen. Go from mawjood to matlub. The very simple example, and then we move towards Masayib, is Shabi Hijrat of our Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa. We believe that night there was one migration. There wasn't one migration. There were two migrations that night. One was a physical migration, one was a spiritual migration. One was a migration where the Holy Prophet left from physical Mecca to physical Medina. One was the migration of Amir al-Mu'mineen, where he went from mawjood to matlub in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's asking the Holy Prophet, begging the Holy Prophet, by me sleeping on this bed, will your life be saved? Yes, it will be. The Quran says there are those who sell their souls out for this dunya. And then there are those who sell their soul out for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When was that revealed? That ayat was revealed on Shabi Hijrat, not for the Prophet's migration, for Ali's migration. are two migrations, and that night, it's a prime example of that. While the Prophet was moving towards Medina physically, Ali was moving up the ranks in Allah's pleasure as well. And that's what happens between Hajaru and Jahidu fi sabilillah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa And this hijrat is this idea of not only you, but taking your family along with you as well. When you convince your family, it's a journey up Allah's ranks, they are happily gonna go with you. Gonna go with you. Imam Hussein's beauty on the day of Ashura was he didn't act alone. He was such an amazing parent, amazing wali, amazing imam, that he actually convinced his young children to sacrifice their life for the mission. They would say constantly that our sacrifice is for you, Hussein, your sacrifice is for your Nana's Deen, Hussein. And the one shahadat that almost killed Amir al-Mu'mineen was that of Ali Akbar. That of Ali Akbar. Atul Naini, very quickly, Atul Naini narrates, he narrates what? He narrates that one day I read the Musibat of Abu Abdullah and Imam Hussein came in my dream. And from head to toe, he was covered in arrows from head to toe. The next night when I read the Musibat again, Imam Hussein again came in my dream. And now all the arrows were gone except for 2 arrows. I asked him, Mola, with all due respect, last night you were covered from head to toe in arrows. But tonight there's only 2 arrows inside of you. He says, Na'ini. Na'ini, when one of my Shi'as cry for my musibats, they take the arrow out of my body one by one. Then Mola, what about these 2 arrows? He says, these are the 2 arrows that no matter how much my Shi'as cry for me, these arrows will never be taken out of my body. One is the arrow of Abbas and the other of Ali Akbar. The same Ali Akbar who went to Imam Hussein and says, Baba, give me ijazat now, Baba. Give me ijazat now. You've given everybody else, and Imam Hussein said, I will give you ijazat so long as you do me a couple of things. Number one, as you're going towards the Maidan of Karbala, every so often, if you can, just turn your face and look back towards me. Whenever I remembered my grandfather, I would look to you for that job. You were khulqan and khalqan, a resemblance, a shabi of my grandfather. When Ali Akbar was struck with the barchi and he fell from the horse, he said, Alayka minni salam, ya abada. Imam Hussein went running towards Ali Akbar. With every other shaheed, he took the head of the shaheed and he put it on the lap. But with Ali Akbar, Imam Hussein was different. He took Ali Akbar's cheek and he put it against his own cheek. And Ali Akbar says, Baba, there's pain in my chest, Baba. Imam Hussein lays Ali Akbar on the plains of Karbala. There's a broken spear inside the chest of his Jawan son. He grabs the spear. He turned towards Najaf. He says, Baba, you were the one that ripped the door of Khaybar, that took 40 men to open and close. But have you ever taken a banshee out of your young chest of your son? Come to Karbala. See your Hussein. See your Ali Akbar. Imam Hussein put one knee on the chest of Ali Akbar, one foot on the plains of Karbala, grabbed the banshee, turned towards Najaf, said, Ya Ali, and ripped the banshee. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those of us who have migrated to this country, protect our deen, inshallah. Protect the future deen of our children, inshallah. Ya Allah, this is our muqim now, this is our home now. We ask you, Allah, we are the next generation. Give us tawfiq to fight the waswasa of this society. Let's further along the teachings of our parents. Ya Allah, accept the mehnat of our parents who for decades and years built Islam or did their best to build Islam in this part of the world. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, accept the amal of our parents. Forgive the sins of our parents. For those of us who have not had our parents in this world, we ask you, Allah, to elevate them in barzakh to the level of the awliya of Allah, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.